It's mailbag time here on NFL Daily. Mitchell Renz, I use Manscaped, and you guys should too. Get 20% off and free shipping by going to manscaped.com/chat. The best male grooming products in the entire world, hell, and the entire Milky Way galaxy. Let's go to Kareth. What up, my man? Do you see Robert Quinn coming to Seattle through a trade? If so, how much draft capital would it take? Do I see Robert Quinn going to Seattle? No. Robert Quinn wants to go to a team that can contend. Robert Quinn wants to go to a team that's going to be a contender, right? Like, yeah, Seattle might be able to pay him, but it doesn't make sense for the Seahawks because they're not in win-now mode right now. Quinn, to me, I would say the top teams that make the most sense for him, honestly, Dallas Cowboys and then the Las Vegas Raiders because of the connections that Quinn has with both of those organizations. What up, RJ? The Dallas Cowboys just love getting penalties. Are the Cowboys going to fire Mike McCarthy if they don't make the playoffs? I would. Personally, again, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, if you don't make the playoffs, every year it's going to be the hot seat. So if you were to ask me just why for yes and for no, if the Cowboys don't make the playoffs, I'm going to say yes, Mike McCarthy is done. What up, Ray? What do you think of Justin Fields? He is my fantasy quarterback. Oh, yeah. He definitely has upside. The issue is I like Justin Fields. I don't like the situations he's in, right? A lot of times when you look at fantasy football, it's not about do you think the player's good. It's about the situation. The Bears have arguably the worst receiving core in all of football. You have arguably the worst offensive line in all of football. You just hired a head coach that's a defensive-minded guy. So, like, honestly, Justin Fields is your fantasy quarterback. I don't know if that's the right move to make. Empire One, how long do you think Drake London is going to be out? Oh, man, I'm hoping that he's ready for week one. Drake was a player that I had a lot of high hopes for when he first came out of the draft. Remember, first wide receiver taken this past year, went to the Atlanta Falcons. Really athletic player from top to bottom. I'm hoping that he's going to be ready for week one, but they're not going to rush him back. So even if he doesn't make it back by week one, you're hoping that he's going to be out there for week 2 or 3, but I'm going to say he's going to be ready by week 1. Now, guys, NFL Daily, remember, presented by our awesome sponsor, Manscaped. If anybody out there is single, the number one thing that I would recommend, honestly, is making sure that you're taking care of your body and that you're, hygienic. Like, I always tell people, if you use deodorant underneath your armpits, why? It's because you want to smell good. Do you brush your teeth? Yeah, it's good hygiene. Do you get your hair cut? Maybe some of you do. Do you shower? I hope so. I also think that oftentimes we don't put other things that maybe we didn't grow up with into our hygiene routine. Women, believe it or not, like the way you smell a lot more than the way you look. Sometimes you got a lot of hair in some unnecessary areas, you don't smell all that great. So here's the thing. Because we love you guys so much, and I don't want you to grow up lonely, go to manscaped.com/chat, 20% off and free shipping. Try the Lawnmower 4.0. It's usually like $90. We're going to get you for $71. It's got an awesome battery life. It's not going to go crazy in your hand. It's barely even vibrates in there. Plus, you can see how long the battery life is because I don't know if you've ever been shaven and then the battery just dies and you're left with half a beard like Harrison Graham. No, it's not going to happen. Manscaped's going to hook you guys up, so please try it out. Comments and in the description, you can find that link. Let's go to Danger. Robert Quinn to the Eagles for a second and Jalen Reagor. If I was Chicago, I actually like this offer personally because you're getting a receiver. You need receiver help. Philadelphia is definitely ballsy enough to try to pull off a deal like this for the simple fact of you never know what Howie's going to do. Howie Roseman, one of the most aggressive GMs. But I do think this trade helps out both the teams. Jacob's NFL channel. Will the Bills cut Case Keenum? I'm going to say no. He's a good backup, and you're not necessarily looking for a high upside backup. You have Josh Allen. What you're essentially looking for is a quarterback who you believe is going to be able to get your team good reps during practice. Because if Keenum's ever on the field, it's probably because Josh Allen is hurt. And I actually thought Keenum going to Buffalo made a lot of sense. So are they going to cut him? No. I think you have to consider the fact that sometimes having a veteran quarterback that can help you out in practice, it actually goes a long way. All right, totally random question here. I graduated high school in 2011. So I want to know, because I'm always trying to get to know our audience a little bit better, what year did you graduate high school? Jack, producer Jack, what year did you graduate high school? He graduated in 2017. My God, I graduated college in 2015. Marvin Daniels says 2007, so he's a little bit closer to my age. 2026. Okay, so he's a few years away. Chris says 2012. My opinion, 1988. Let me know down in the comments what year you graduated high school. One of my OGs, Jeff Rogers, whose stats are going to suffer the most with the addition of Davante Adams, Waller or Renfrow? The most, I'm probably going to go with Renfrow, because I still see Darren Waller being the better overall player than Renfrow. However, if Waller doesn't get on the field soon, I do think that minor chemistry could be impacted, because Carr and Renfrow are locked in. But if you were to ask me, all right, Renfrow over 100 catches last season, I think he goes down to about 75. And then I see Darren Waller probably also being around that 75 catch threshold, because Adams is going to get his. Adams is going to be around 105, 110 catches. So I'll say Renfrow, because the touchdown numbers at 9 are going to come down. So overall, I'll say Renfrow, but both players are going to be impacted. But it's okay, because you're better overall. Junior Estrada, should the Patriots trade Nelson Agholor? Yes. If you're not going to use him, try to move on from him. I will say what makes it difficult, though, by trading away Agholor, the new team has to take on $10 million. Coming off the year that Agholor had, I don't know if there's going to be many teams out there interested to take on a deal of $10 million. I would say the only team willing to do it would potentially be the Las Vegas Raiders, because of how good Agholor was with Las Vegas just 2 seasons ago, where he had 47 grabs, 96 yards, and 9 or 8 touchdowns. The other issue is the Raiders like Keelan Cole, they like Matt Collins, they like Tyron Johnson, they like DeMarcus Robinson, so trading for Agholor at $10 million a year doesn't really make a lot of sense. S&M, do you think the Bears trade Robert Quinn, and where do you think he might go? Well, how about this, S&M? I've released multiple videos. I know Chat Sports has released multiple videos on Robert Quinn trade destinations. I've done multiple blockbuster trade ideas for Robert Quinn. I do think that he ends up getting dealt. It might not be at the beginning of the year, but by the NFL trade deadline, when the Bears aren't in the running anymore, and there's going to be a team out there that probably suffers a defensive end injury, or a team that's really going to be like, you know what, we got to go all in right now. So it might not happen now, but I do think it will happen eventually. Tighten up 75. Jeffrey Simmons was ranked 54 on the NFL Top 100 list. What are your thoughts on this list? Overall, the list always, I think, kind of sucks. There's a lot of rankings that make me scratch my head, but Jeffrey Simmons, to me, top 5 defensive tackle in the league right now, coming off a year where he had 11.5 sacks. I think he's absolutely a top 60 player. But when I do my rankings every year, I'm like, all right, is he top 50? So how about this, y'all? Let's ask this question. Shout out to Jack for making this on the fly. Is Jeffrey Simmons a top 50 player? Y for yes or N for no? Man, it's close. I think if you ask a Titan fan, they're probably going to say yes. And he's in a good system for his ability, no doubt about that. He continues to get better and better. I think he had 8.5 sacks the year before that. But anytime you're getting a DT that has 11 sacks, double-digit sacks, some pretty good numbers there. Let me know what you guys think, though. Top 50 player, Y for yes, and for no. Here at Chat Sports, man, we're a big-time family. So if you want the best NFL news coverage, if a trade happens, we got you covered. If there's a big-time move that goes down, we got you covered. If you want to just interact with us, because that's what we do, hit the subscribe button, turn on those notifications. What up, Marvin? Should the Steelers start Kenny Pickett? He looked pretty good this week. I mean, all the quarterbacks I thought for Pittsburgh looked pretty good. I'll say for the Steelers, the only quarterback I'm not starting is Mason Rudolph. To me, Mason Rudolph makes absolutely no sense to start him. If Pittsburgh was smart, I would look to send him away in a trade. Get something. I do think, though, it comes down to Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky, because you signed Trubisky to probably be your starter in the offseason, but you drafted Pickett at number 20. I could say a healthy competition is a good thing, but I kind of know what Mitch Trubisky is. I don't necessarily know what Pickett is, and Pickett did look pretty good. So I would lean towards Kenny, but I could understand them going with Mitch Trubisky. Anish, do you think Rashad Penny and Drew Lock will both dominate this season and prove doubters wrong? Dominate? No. I mean, Rashad Penny's got to get healthy because he looked really good at the end of last season. In fact, he looked like a top 5 running back at the end of last season. But the injuries have always been a big-time issue. And the fact that he has a brand-new groin injury, which was sustained, like Thursday or Friday, I believe, last week, I want to get more reports and more updates on that. But Drew Lock, to me, isn't a top 30 quarterback in the league. So, dominate? No. I think if the Seattle Seahawks can come away this season with 5 wins, 6 wins, it's probably what you're looking at. Tyrone Jenkins, who was a winner and loser from the Vikings game against the Raiders? I'll say winner. I thought the linebacker from Oklahoma, Brian Asamoah, was flying all over the football field. He was good tackling. He was also really impressive as a coverage linebacker, which is what I look for, especially in young guys. I would say a loser, probably Andrew Booth Jr. I was hoping to get a little bit more out of him, the cornerback from Clemson, but the Raiders kind of picked on him a little bit. And sure, Las Vegas went out there with Tyron Johnson, Keelan Cole, Matt Collins, some of their players that could get actual starting reps for them during the regular season. But I thought Andrew Booth could be the starter next to Patrick Peterson. So winner, Asamoah. I'll say loser, probably Andrew Booth Jr. If you want to get more content around the Raiders, any diehard Raider fans out there, please don't ever be shy. You can always join my awesome locals community at RaidersReport.locals.com. Scan that QR code right there. I put out a video last week about a Raiders player that I think could potentially get traded. And there's been some pretty interesting reports out there. If it happens, this will be the second trade that I've guessed correctly on locals. The first one I talked about was Bryan Edwards. A few hours later, he got traded. So all I'm saying is if you want to see who this could potentially be, go over to locals right now. My opinion, do you like Mullins more than Stidham? Yeah, I do. I think Nick Mullins is a better quarterback than Jarrett Stidham. Now, when you look at the preseason games, Stidham outplayed Mullins in the first NFL Hall of Fame game, but I thought Nick Mullins outplayed Jarrett Stidham in the second preseason game for the Raiders. Stidham does look like he still knows the offense more, but I just think Nick Mullins is a better quarterback. So we'll see what ends up happening, but I do like Mullins more than I like Jarrett Stidham. All right, y'all, I dare you to turn on your notifications right now. There's going to be a little bell underneath the video. Wait, let's see if I can get to it. There you go. I want you to tickle that bell a little bit. Turn on your notifications to all, so if we drop a video here on Chat Sports, you never miss a thing.